This is a piece of nicotine gum. Some of the biggest entrepreneurs right now, including Alex Hormozi himself, are using nicotine to get laser-like focus and improve their productivity. So is this something worth considering?
Nicotine. I put in nicotine.
No, I've been chewing nicotine forever, honestly.
In this video, I will show you how to leverage all of the benefits from nicotine without getting cancer, without getting addicted, without building up a tolerance, and without smelling like an ashtray. Now, there is a lot of negative stigma around nicotine. I mean, if you looked at a cigarette packet recently, it looks like if you smoked one cigarette, you would just instantly turn into Darth Vader. And while there are concerns that you do need to take into consideration, a lot of these are blown out of proportion and only really apply if you're someone who doesn't use nicotine properly. However, these are a few of the common complaints, the common issues that people have with nicotine. And the first one is that you will get addicted. And yes, if you don't use nicotine properly, if you're using it all the time, if you're using too much nicotine, it is an addictive substance and you can very easily get addicted. So this is definitely something worth noting. The next one is that nicotine causes cancer. And the problem is a lot of the ways that people are getting nicotine, including smoking cigarettes and vaping, involve essentially lighting hundreds of known carcinogens on fire and inhaling them into your lungs. And of course, if you do this day after day after day, you're going to increase the likelihood that you get cancer. So if you are using nicotine, if you're ingesting nicotine through methods that include smoking or even things like putting Zins in your mouth, this may increase the likelihood that you get cancer. However, it's not all bad, and there are quite a lot of benefits to nicotine that we can take out and remove all of the damaging things. Firstly, nicotine can improve your focus and attention. If you're in one of these deep work blocks and you're struggling to pay attention, if you have that little bit of nicotine, it can just help you channel your focus into one thing. It makes it a little bit easier to stay on task, to stay concentrated. And oftentimes, if you're an entrepreneur, there's a whole list of things that you need to do. And sometimes just having that little improvement in concentration and focus can help you get quite a lot done. The second benefit that you can get from nicotine is improved working memory. So your ability to actually recall certain things that you've learned is just slightly better, which is of course very, very beneficial. If you're working and you can constantly recall things from the past quite easily, then it just makes it a lot more effective for you working. You can get things done. You don't have to go and search things up because you just remember a little bit more, which is a nice little benefit to have. The next one is an improvement in your mood and your motivation. Now, this happens as a result of the increased dopamine release that you get from nicotine. That little bit of extra dopamine you get will just give you that boost in motivation, that boost in confidence to actually get work done. And if you're feeling a little bit unmotivated and a little bit of a rut, that little kick of nicotine you can get can just push you over the edge to get you into the zone, get you into a good working block. And when you pair that with the fact that you have better working memory, when you have better focus and better attention, this can all work together to actually put together a really nice block of work that you would have otherwise not got done. The next one, and this is more of a long-term thing, but there is a potential for neural protection. So protection against things like Alzheimer's and dementia is possible when you ingest a certain amount of nicotine throughout your life. The last one, which is nice, especially if you're trying to lose weight or you don't want to be constantly thinking about food all the time, is that there is a little bit of appetite suppression. So if you're working, sometimes you're just like, I kind of want to eat. I kind of need to stop and get up and eat. And this pulls you away and gets you distracted from what you're currently doing. And even if you don't get up to eat, purely the fact that you're thinking about that, there's a little bit in the back of your mind that's thinking about food, can just take you away what you're currently doing and not really help. So as you can see here, if you have improved focus and attention, if you have improved memory, if you have improved motivation and mood, and if you have slight appetite suppression, you can see this is a nice little whirlwind for actually becoming more productive and getting more done. And as you can see, this is probably why people like Alex Hormozi, lots of big entrepreneurs are leveraging nicotine, because there's a lot of big benefits that we can get. The question is, can we reduce the negative side effects so this is something worth actually taking? And honestly, I believe you can, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Rule number one, before I show you how to actually leverage nicotine, is do not be an idiot and do not get addicted. If you're someone with a very addictive personality, if you feel like if I even touch nicotine, I'm probably going to get addicted, it's not worth it. Trust me. The small increase in cognitive enhancement, in improvement in your work, is not going to be worth potentially getting addicted to a substance. So if you're a addictive person, if you think that you're going to develop an addiction for this, just don't even bother. Honestly, you're better off without it, because getting addicted to anything is just not worth it. Real quick, if you are an entrepreneur looking to get peak mental and physical performance so you can grow yourself and your business, then I recommend working with us. I'll leave a link in the description below. You can check that out. Otherwise, let's get to how we can leverage nicotine to get all these benefits without the side effects. So first of all, how should I actually be ingesting the nicotine? Because there's lots of different methods, there's lots of different ways that you can actually ingest nicotine. For example, you could smoke cigarettes, you could smoke vapes, you could do Zins, you could do the gum. There's lots of different methods. There's only one I think that you should actually do, and that is nicotine gum. This is the one that I've seen people use who've actually used it effectively. Nicotine gum gives you just a little bit of nicotine, just enough for you to get the benefit, without building up too much of a tolerance, without it being too overwhelming. This, in my opinion, is the sweet spot. The issue with things like cigarettes and things like vapes is you're essentially lighting 100 other cancer-causing chemicals on fire and then inhaling that into your lungs. That is going to have very, very poor effects on your lung health, on your throat health, on your general well-being. Not a good idea to do it like that. On top of the fact that you're actually getting too much nicotine in one go. It's just too much. You're going to just want the hits constantly. It's not that slow, smooth progression that you get from gum. It's a big hit. Same with the Zins, is that they're just too strong. I think the minimum Zin you can really get is about 6 milligrams. It's just a little bit too much, and you can't control the portions. You basically just stick it in there and then you take it out and you don't really want to put it back in. With gum, what you can do is you can put it in, chew it a bit, get a little bit of a sensation of the nicotine, and then you can park it. You just put it in your lip and then you don't touch it. And then when you want to get a little bit more of a hit, you just chew a bit more and then you stop. This way, one piece of gum can last you 2 hours, okay? 2 hours that you'll get nicotine effects from one little piece of gum. And that piece of gum probably has the same amount of nicotine as 2 puffs of a cigarette, right? Significantly less. So in my opinion, it's absolutely the best way to do it, on top of the fact that it's not going to have any of these negative health-related consequences, such as inhaling cancer-causing things on fire and putting them into your lungs. So, big one, how do we avoid addiction? Because, as I said, rule number 1, don't be an idiot and get addicted. How can we ingest nicotine through nicotine gum without getting addicted? The way I recommend you do it is do a 1 day on, 1 day off cycle. So, if you take nicotine gum 1 day, don't take it the next, okay? I recommend at most 4 days per week. The reason we want to do this is we aren't building up much of a tolerance. We're not building up a taste for it. We know how we feel off it and we know how we feel on it. We don't have prolonged periods where we're just on nicotine. I'm sure you've noticed if you drink a lot of coffee, for example, if you just drank coffee or you just drank some sort of caffeine every single day, that day you take off feels like hell. It feels terrible. A similar effect is going to happen to nicotine. We want to space it out 1 per day. So you get the benefits when you're on it, but you don't get a huge drawback. You don't get a huge crash or a downside afterwards. The next thing that's going to happen if you do that is you're going to avoid a tolerance buildup. And that's super important, because if you're building up the tolerance to nicotine, then you're essentially making it useless. If you're using nicotine in the first place to become more productive, to have more focus, then if you've built up your tolerance so it's no longer effective, then you just lose the whole point. Now you've just become dependent on a substance. And this is how I see a lot of people using nicotine. This is how I see a lot of people using caffeine. And it's the wrong way to do it. The 1 day on, 1 day off will keep your tolerance almost at zero, so that every time you take a piece of nicotine gum, it basically feels like it's the first time you take it. You're going to be able to take the same amount and feel basically the same every single time because you haven't built up a tolerance. And that's absolutely the best way to do it, because we don't want to take more of a substance than we need to get the benefits that we want. So how much should I take? What dosage should I take? Because there are a lot of different dosages for nicotine gum. The one I recommend is 2 milligrams. Now, from what I've seen, that seems to be the minimum amount that you can get is 2 milligram pieces of nicotine gum. So as you can see, we're using a small amount of nicotine and we're using it infrequently, which seems like it's not going to do much, but it actually has quite profound benefits when you use it the way I suggest, when you don't build up your tolerance, when you're doing 1 day on, 1 day off, when you're not building up the quantity, when you're not building up the dosage amount. Just do 2 milligrams, take either 1 piece or 2 pieces on your day on, and that'll do you. Honestly, you will feel an incredible benefit, but you're not going to get a massive high, a massive peak like you would if you smoked a cigarette or you took a Zyn or you smoked a vape, right? It's the minimum possible amount that you can do, but it is a very, very effective amount for what you're trying to do, which is become more productive and get more done. One important thing to note is that nicotine is a stimulant. It's kind of like caffeine in that you don't want to take this too close to bed. Now, I would say 3 to 4 hours before bed, absolutely not. Do not take it that close to bed. What will happen is you will really, really struggle to get to sleep. It definitely makes it harder. And there's going to be people out there that smoke a cigarette before bed. Fine. You have such a crippling addiction and you have such a tolerance to nicotine that it doesn't affect you. But if you've done this as I suggested, then you'll have effectively zero tolerance. So taking anything that close to bed will affect and it will disrupt your sleep. So what I suggest that you do is take it maybe right before a deep work block and then take one right after lunch, but don't do anything close to bed. 3 to 4 hours minimum. Don't touch it 3 to 4 hours before bed, because improving the quality of your sleep is probably going to have more of a benefit than nicotine gum could possibly give you. So avoid it 3 to 4 hours before bed. The next thing is only use it when you need it. So if you're on holiday, right, and you don't really need to be super productive, super switched on, super focused, there's no point in just popping a piece of nicotine gum just because it's supposed to be my day on, right? Use this when you need it. If you have a big block of work that you need to get done, if you need to be very productive and locked in, use it then. Leverage it for the benefits it gives you. But if it's like a Sunday morning and you're just going to have a relaxed day, don't pop nicotine gum just because you can. Because the benefit is, if you don't take it, even when it's your day on, but you know you don't really have any big tasks, then you're just going to further reduce your tolerance, which means it's going to be more effective when you actually need it. The other thing is, when you get that feeling that you get from nicotine and you pair it with working every time, it almost signals your brain, okay, it's work time. It's time to go, okay? So if you just start taking nicotine gum whenever, just because it's my day on, it's not the most effective way of doing it. So I would recommend always pairing it with a deep work block or some real intention to get work done. Don't do it just because you can. So used effectively, nicotine is an incredibly powerful tool, but like any tool, it can either sharpen you or it can cut you. So make sure using this effectively. Don't get addicted. Use it for the cognitive benefits, but use it when you need it. Don't build up a tolerance. Don't get addicted. Please, whatever you do not do that. I just thought it was worth mentioning because I see a lot of high-level entrepreneurs using it, and I thought it was definitely something that you should be aware of at the very least, whether you want to do this or not. It should be worth noting that nicotine isn't going to kill you if you take it properly. So I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. There's probably a video somewhere around here that you might be interested in, and I will see you in the next video.